when you go and you call on a customer, you're representing two brands, your own brand and your company brand. And I would venture to guess that most buyers are basing a, buying decision on both of those brands. Do I like them? Do I respect them? Do I trust them? Do I want to do business with this company?
Top leaders, meaningful conversation, actionable advice, bulldoze complacency, ignite inspiration, create impact. Produced by the Southwestern family of companies. This is the Action Catalyst.
Are you interested in advertising with the Action Catalyst? Our listeners could be hearing about your brand right here, right now. For details, shoot us an email at info@theactioncatalyst.com.
Denise Lee Yohn. She is a speaker. Her book is called What Great Brands Do, the 7 brand building principles that separate the best from the rest. She's been the lead strategist for advertising agencies for Burger King and Land Rover, for Jack in the Box. She went on to head Sony Electronics, their first ever brand office, Frito-Lay and Oakley. And Denise, thanks for being here.
Thanks for that great introduction.
So just kind of, first of all, obviously you have the background and the pedigree of, working with the big brands and everything. What caused you to write the book? Why did you even say, yeah, I want to go ahead and turn this into a book?
Yeah, well, I should start by saying that I love brands. I'm passionate about them. I've been studying them for years. I've been working on them. As a consumer, I'm fascinated by them. And as a professional, I'm even more fascinated. And so, certainly this is a topic that I want to share my thoughts on. But more specifically, I feel like there's a lot of misunderstanding about how great brands and big brands get to be so successful. And so I wanted to share what I had learned from my research and work about what great brands do.
You talk about this concept. It's called brand as business.
Yeah. Well, maybe it would be helpful to contrast that to brand as logo, or brand as name, or brand as tagline, marketing, advertising, PR, website, whatever. I think that a lot of people, when they think about brand, they think about those elements, which are really, I would call them expressions or ways to communicate your brand. But your brand is your business if you are using your brand correctly. And so brand as business is simply a phrase to kind of say, there should be no separation. There should be no difference between how you're managing, developing, and growing your brand as how you're managing, developing, and growing your business. And a lot of it has to do with your culture, inside your organization. It has to do with the actual customer experience that you're providing and, your company operations and strategies, what you actually do. So it's really a very, I think, more comprehensive thing than people want to think of just a brand as. I mean, think about like Apple. Apple has millions of fans around the world. I don't think any of them love Apple because they've got a great logo, right. Or even that, that they have great advertising, and they have some really cool creative advertising that I think really, rallies people and gets people hooked. But it's really the Apple products and, the Apple stores and the Apple community and the Apple apps, all of that is what makes Apple Apple. And that's what the Apple brand is.
What do you think is different if you look at this approach that you call brand as business?
I think that, it probably starts with the first principle in my book, What Great Brands Do. The first principle is great brands start inside, meaning that they start brand building by cultivating a strong brand-led culture inside their companies. And that also means that they are saving, communicating, and expressing their brand through things like a logo or a marketing campaign for after they've actually created this strong culture inside. So it's really about being more focused on how you're running your business, why you're running your business, what are the values and attributes that you want to be known for and that you are really cultivating among everyone who works on your brand. And that's where you start. And then once you've got that to a point where you feel like, okay, we're really creating value here, then you go out and you start working on your external image.
So do you think that's one of the big mistakes that people make is they do those in reverse order?
Absolutely. I mean, how many times do we read about like when a corporation is in trouble and the first thing they do is, oh, we're going to launch a brand campaign or we're going to change our name or refresh our logo. And, and I'm not saying that those things aren't important, but I think that, customers are pretty savvy these days. And, a new logo or a new tagline, those things are kind of like, a dime a dozen. And people really want to know, okay, what are you doing that's different? What value are you creating for me? Why should I pay attention to you? And the external image is only a part of that.
How does personal branding fit into this?
I think within a corporation, you are in charge of your career, right? And I spent 15 plus years in the corporate world. So I know, how hard it is to, shape your career and pursue your individual career goals at the same time, supporting and, pursuing your company's objectives. And I think that, you need to be very cognizant of what you are known for within an organization so that you can accomplish those goals. And a lot of that has to do with, again, the value that you create, the projects that you sign up to work on, the way that you conduct yourself in meetings. I think, unfortunately, some personal branding experts are much more focused, again, on your image. What does your avatar look like on social media? And, how do you dress? And again, those things are important, but I would be advising both within a corporation as well as a small business owner or an individual, consultant, that it's really, you need to focus on, what value you're creating and how are you doing business that's distinctive and, memorable and compelling. And, and as a salesperson, I think that when you go and you call on a customer, you're not only, you're representing two brands, your own brand and your company brand. And I would venture to guess that most buyers are, basing a, buying decision on both of those brands. They want to know, is this person that I'm sitting, across the table from, do I like them? Do I respect them? Do I trust them? But then, and then in addition, do I want to do business with this company? And so it's really, I think, the combination of the two that makes a very powerful sales presentation.
I'd love to hear like an example of some companies where you go, here is somebody who had a very weak brand and it was not going well. And then they did this and this and this and this, and it changed.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll talk about one of my clients that I worked with a while ago, and so I think I can speak fairly freely about them. And they're a public company. It's a fast food chain called Jack in the Box. Mm-hmm. And I would say that when we started working with them, they had the image that they had created from their television commercials. So Jack in the Box has this CEO character, Jack, who's kind of like a kick butt, fun, funny, bold, convention breaking kind of CEO. And these advertisements, I think, really created this personality that people liked. But there was a very big disconnect between that image and what you would actually experience in the store. Mm-hmm. In fact, I think the executives would agree when we started working with them, the other stores were somewhat dirty, somewhat slow. Service was inconsistent. Probably inconsistency was probably their biggest problem. They had definitely had bright spots, but they also had a lot of problems. And so the work that we did, we certainly helped them refine their positioning and really kind of focus more on their positioning. But more importantly, what we did was worked with every person who worked on that brand, from, the executive team to the corporate departments to the franchisees, both the master franchisees that own hundreds of units as well as the smaller franchisees, sure, and then the restaurant employees, all to understand what is their role in interpreting and reinforcing the Jack in the Box brand. And, there was a certain positioning, a certain personality, values, and attributes that they wanted their brand to be known for. And through that work, I think that the store experience has become much more in line with what this image was. Now they still have a long way to go. And I'm sure that, if you went into Jack in the Box, maybe 9 out of 10 times or maybe 8 out of 10 times, you get this great experience that reflects their brand, but you would still have some inconsistency. But I think the most important thing was that they brought in a lot more personality into what they were doing in the stores. A lot of their stores decided to stay open 24 hours, and they built a whole late night program and a special menu and kind of special promotions to promote this kind of late night time, which really appealed to their millennial target customers and kind of would be the kind of thing that this Jack character from the advertising would actually do in the store. And so I think, and now if you look at their stock price as if that's any indication of the success of this change that they've made, I don't want to misquote, but I want to say that their stock is on fire. And I don't want to take credit for that completely, but I think that's what our work was in part what has been contributing to their success.
Now, you used the phrase integrated approach. What does that mean to have an integrated approach?
Oh, well, at the most fundamental level, I think it means that you do what you say that you are doing, so, I always say that a brand can't just be a promise. It needs to be a promise delivered. So you're integrating your promise with your actual execution. But I think integration is also about every aspect, of what you're doing. Every aspect of the customer experience, needs to be integrated so that it creates this branded experience, this really compelling, differentiated experience for the customer. And so it's, about making sure that your products are, the types of products that you have are, expressing the value that you want to be known for. The types of services you offer are integrated with those products. The pricing that you use reflects the value that you want to be known for. The promotions and the marketing you do build up an expectation that then is delivered from those products and services. So it's all part of a cohesive whole.
Let's say somebody that's out there listening and they're a small business owner. What's the first thing they should do?
It's probably safe to say that in most every area, every sector, every industry, competition has already increased or is increasing, and your need to stand out and be known is becoming, even more critically important. And you can't just expect your customers to figure that out. If we just run a good business, people will come to us. I mean, that's not the way that it works today. You need to stand out and give customers a reason to choose you. So that's why it's important. And then I would say, part of the reason why you might have all these different, logos or expressions or, different brochures or, whatever, maybe because you yourself as a business owner or as a partner team are not focused and clear yourself on what does your brand stand for. What is that core essence or core purpose or core mission that really holds everything together? And so I think you need to spend some time, and it's not something that is, it takes a long process, and it's not something that you even really need to spend any money on, but you need to do some very, serious like introspection and strategic planning on what is it that we want our brand to be known for, and very clearly articulate that. Don't assume that people just get it or people know it. But, write it down and make sure that it's clear on what you stand for and how you're different and better from your competition. And then from there, I think is a matter of then ensuring that everyone who works on your brand shares that understanding and then brings that to life in their area of responsibility. And if you don't create a reputation for yourself, one will be created, right?
Right. Where do you want people to go, Denise, to connect with you?
Yeah. So, definitely go to my website, DeniseLeeYohn.com, and that's DeniseLeeYohn.com. And from there, you can actually access all the information about my book. There are materials from my book that you can download, links to where you can purchase it. And then that also links you to my blog and newsletter.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing this with us, Denise Lee Yohn.
If you enjoy this podcast, please make sure to subscribe. And to stay updated on everything that the Action Catalyst is up to, make sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Action Catalyst Podcast and on Twitter at Catalyst_Action. And as always, thanks for listening.